Hello and welcome, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Activist to Follow from Vegan FTA. As some of you may recognize, our wonderful guest today, Sarina Farb. She was on season 1, episode 5 of our flagship series, Activist. And in this interview, we are talking about an incredible resource for anybody wanting to learn more about food ingredients, especially families who want to give their kids, teens, even the adults, a bit of a helping hand in identifying not just plant-based, but ethical ingredients. So it's so great to have you on the channel again, Sarina.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, we're so looking forward to this. We've been waiting to get these out there in front of our audience because I think it's just such a great resource. So much has happened since we last caught up. It seems so long ago we did Activist. But in the meantime, you've released these vegan ingredient flashcards, which we really look forward to discussing. But with the primary topic of this conversation being around the identification of food products, we think it's prudent to address the common misconception in the mainstream about veganism. And let's say it outright, veganism is not a diet. It's a philosophical belief. Whilst a plant-based diet is a core component of the vegan lifestyle, something that's plant-based doesn't necessarily align with being vegan. And
Absolutely.
There's so many large companies jumping on it at the moment, isn't there? It seems to be the big marketing trend with plant-based eating. We see more and more people popping up with vegan on all their items. And so, we're curious to know what your feelings are on that term vegan cropping up in such ways, and also that perpetuation of the idea that veganism is only a diet, which I think we all know here ain't the case.
It's I have a lot of mixed feelings. On the one hand, I think it does signify interest in veganism, ethical veganism, and plant-based diets is absolutely growing. More and more companies getting involved show us that. At the same time, I am personally a skeptic of market forces being our solution to ethical and moral issues. So I do not think the marketplace and new products are going to get animal liberation or achieve a vegan world. They're obviously like a small piece of it. Like we need those options, alternatives, and the easier and more accessible it becomes for anyone to find vegan products and things at their stores and on the shelves. Obviously, that makes being able to live vegan more accessible for more people. But that alone will not create a vegan world, and I think it can also add. I think it allows us, if we're not careful, to allow the vegan movement to sort of be co-opted by capitalistic corporate forces who do not care about the ethics or the environment or the animals or anything like that, to sort of come in and jump on this trend because they want to profit off of it. And so I think and this goes as hard as well, but just part of vegan living and not diet is the fact that we are just trying to live more ethically and sustainably with everything we do, diet, lifestyle, clothing, all of that. And so you also have to still do your research. You have to make sure that you're still supporting companies and products that you ethically think are behaving okay in the world. And just because it has vegan on there doesn't even mean that it's a vegan company. Doesn't mean that all of their products are vegan. It doesn't mean that they are using sustainable practices. It doesn't mean that they are potentially undermining veganism or animal liberation with other things they're doing. It's complex. Definitely. There's a lot to it, and I think just. And that's why I'm a fan of everyone doing their research and looking into things themselves, figure out how they navigate this complex world and make the choices that are most ethical.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's such a fantastic response.
Definitely.
I might just actually have to do something very unprofessional during this. And do you mind swapping seats with me, my love? Just because our audio we've been playing around with it before we started out, and I'm getting a robot voice the whole way through at the moment.
No.
So, Sarina Farb, the machine, I'm getting at the moment. So I'll just swap seats
Is
with
that
you,
just
Mother.
us getting that, or is everybody getting
I don't
that?
believe anyone else in the audience there. Can you give a shout out if you're hearing a robotic voice? I do believe it's just on our end.
Just New Zealand robots, maybe?
Yeah. I think it's
Nobody else has picked up on it, so it's probably
we
just
did a
us.
live interview with Kuntal Joysha recently, and he said it could have been the protein deficiency in the internet. So we're going to blame that one, you know.
We've got that going on again.
Right. Let's swap seats, my love.
Okay.
Oh, and unplug that one.
Oh.
Go in that one.
Somebody else said it's robotic.
Oh,
Thank you, Angela.
Okay, right. There was me about to throw the audio unit out the window, but
So I like playing musical chairs. It's fun.
If you want to continue on, and then I will try and edit what I can here on our end. And yes, now I'm closer to the box.
Sure, we will keep going as best we can. So, Sarina, you're a queen of critical thinking, and we've learned so much from you ourselves the last couple of years since we discovered you at Born Vegan. And in an age where information can be at our fingertips 24/7 through smartphones and other devices, it's amazing how much we still don't know. Despite having the technology, all too often we're just still wandering around our local shops, reading and then rereading the ingredient list, asking ourselves, well, what's this ingredient? Is this one's okay to eat, isn't it? Or is it not? But now we can wave goodbye to a lot of these problems with the help of your brilliant vegan ingredient flashcards. I was so excited to hear about these. We both love the story behind these cards and the role that they genuinely played in creating an environment where, even as a small child, you could make your own conscious decisions and interact with adults about your choices. Would you mind sharing the story with our audience about, how the inspiration for creating the cards now for children and families today came about?
Yeah, so these are basically very similar to the cards that my parents actually made for me when I was a child, being raised vegan, but in a world that's obviously non-vegan, and it was how my family sort of helped us navigate being some of the only vegan children in many non-vegan environments. And they, in particular, like my mom created some of these, and the idea for her at the time was she wanted us to be able to make our own informed choices, food and other things as well, about how we lived in the world, and not have it just be like, our family is vegan, this is what you have to do. She wanted us to know why we were vegan and then be able to, be empowered ourselves. So I used these when I was about 7 years old or something similar. I've recreated them, but and they were how my parents helped teach me how to read labels, so that when I was away from our home, when I was with friends and they offered me food, rather than just having to go, oh, Mom and Dad, can I eat this? Or, oh, is this vegan? I could look at it, read the ingredients for myself, and, say, oh, no, I'm not going to eat that. I don't eat anything with animals in it or any animal products. So that's kind of where these came from. And I realized there's nothing out there that I've seen like that today, and I thought they were very useful as a child myself. And so I actually enlisted my mom's help more recently to sort of recreate them.
It's awesome. I was so excited to see that. And I have to admit, it's when you think of flashcards, I was kind of thinking, well, this is the kind of thing that say, well, this is why I don't eat eggs, or, this is why I don't eat dairy. But it's so much more comprehensive than that. We've got, capric acid in there, monoglyceride, with all kinds of things, 40 very comprehensive cards. And it's so valuable because the number of additives in food these days is insane. There are many educational resources out there already explaining each and every ingredient in meticulous reports and studies. But flashcards are a much more fun and engaging and memorable option, not just for children, but adults too. We said we'd much rather personally learn from these in short and easily digestible bites than read another lengthy study or a pocketbook on E-numbers. I remember having one of these myself, and I thought, this is going to be my, my saving resource, and it was just did my head in. I would much rather carry around these cards, and they're often a great starting point for discussions on a topic which is so vast. Is this method of conveying the information an extension of your experience as an educator, having experience in that field yourself, just sort of opening up individuals to understanding, a topic one step at a time?
I'm just gonna have to hold this up a second.
Yes.
Sorry. I think the problem must be coming from your mic, Sarina. Do you know, are any of the cables loose or anything like that? Because it's creating an echo. And sorry to interrupt this,
Sorry,
folks. It's
people.
it just I can't seem to find any issues on my end. I've replaced cables, so hopefully that's sounding better.
Better?
Yeah, that seems to be sounding a lot better all of a sudden.
Maybe my mic was not fully plugged in. I thought it was.
There we go. I think that's probably cracked it. I'm sorry to break up the conversation there.
No, I'm glad you did. Yay, thank you, Angela. Angela's got better sound too.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm so glad for that now. But yeah. sorry to break that up. Do you want to just repeat the end of your question there, and we'll
Yes, yeah, no, sorry. I was just saying how much enjoyable we found using the flashcards as compared to, reading studies and pocketbooks and all of these things with a mind-blowing amount of facts. And I was just going to say, with your experience previously as a teacher and educator, is this method of conveying the information this way an extension of your experience in that field, just opening up individuals to understanding a topic with, baby steps?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's both. Like, I also homeschooled as a child as well. So this was part of like my own education and homeschooling. But yeah, I absolutely like hands-on materials. And the thing about these, when I made them, I wasn't making them to just be like, give them to your kid and have them memorize all of them. Or it's, it's 40 and you can pick and choose. You can use 2 or 3 of them. You can make a game out of them. They're very adaptable and flexible for anyone to, add into what they're doing as they see fit in a way that makes it more interactive and fun and engaging. I certainly would not recommend you actually use these flashcards. Let me just go through them and memorize all of them.
I'm glad you said that, because I was thinking, I remember learning my times tables when I was a kid and thinking, I'm not sure if I'm so good about, these acids and things like that.
No, they're really a launching point, and especially even with children of different ages, parents can certainly let me pick out the ones that are most relevant to, my child at this stage in their life. I'm going to pick out 5 of these and we're going to just start learning. And it's a launching point. If you or a child, is interested, then go online, Google some more, get some books, learn about the process of these different, you can use it as a launching point to start a bigger conversation.
It's fantastic. Yeah. And I definitely get that with some of the cards focusing on things like numbers and some of those more chemical based ones. It's taken me a long time, despite studying biology, chemistry, and physics in school. Even I scratch my head and be like, I can't remember what the hell is that one again, And there's just so much information, so much surprising information. And there's so many things that even for us as committed vegans, as I say, we'll go around the supermarket questioning it the whole time because we can't quite remember. And yeah, so when you went through to choose of the 40 cards, which ones to include, was there a decision process involved in that? Or was it more sort of just the most common 40? Or was it also a choice of ones that you don't readily see the information about?
So it kind of started again because my mom was the one who made the originals of these back when I was 7. I kind of went to her for inspiration and was like, hey, can you remind me what all, she kind of helped. And then I went from that list and started kind of picking and choosing. And there's other lists online, and there's some, I can't remember, the Vegan Source Book maybe is one of the books that has a bunch of the information about these ingredients. There are books that are also just an A to Z of every ingredient that uses animals and things like that. There are way, way more than 40 that I could have selected. So yeah, mostly it was based on the ones that I have seen in stores and on labels most frequently. There's a lot more obscure ones. Sometimes they're kind of duplicates or versions of, related to ones that were already on these cards. Some of them were the most egregious ones, I guess, like that seem like gelatin. That's got to be on there. I mean, and most people who are going vegetarian and then vegan, like, probably hear about gelatin. Like, that one's gonna come up. Things like shellac, crushed beetles. That's one that, like, a lot of people, I think, don't know, but it's actually very common on lots of candies and lots of things, and it's, crushed bugs. So yeah, it was kind of random. It was mostly based on the most frequently seen and commonly used ingredients, as well as the ones that were most egregious, and some that even, I mean, when I was doing this, I'd forgotten. I was looking at these and going, wow, I forgot that was even, like, often not vegan, or that uses an animal, or and I don't usually worry about that because I also tend to try and cook and eat whole foods myself. So I'm not personally at this point in my life frequently buying products that have, these giant labels with millions of unrecognizable ingredients that I'm having to, like, is that vegan, or where did that come from? So I'd even forgotten many of these myself and was like, oh wow, oh yeah, and that's in bread, and that's in this, like, oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, and it's great for, even if you are whole food plant-based in your diet side of things, just to have that information on hand to be, able to talk to your friends and family about this, because so often, you go around to your family's house and they have the processed biscuits and all the other stuff, and you're like, I really love you, and I know you love your biscuits, but did you know that
Yeah,
here comes a truth bomb. But this is what we really love about the cards, and the writing style on them is how you matter-of-factly state what the ingredient is, but then you also offer a short line about where it might be used. And yeah, it's really interesting to have that extra little insight into it. And as all of us who've been vegan for a number of years will know, there's just always more animal products popping up in surprising places. And as you say, you have to remind yourself of some of these as you're going along. But I'd be interested to know, as a lifelong vegan, whilst going through this process, was there actually anything that you discovered during the creation of the cards that you were really shocked to find animal ingredients included?
So many of them, just like so many of the things that are allowed on labels without actually specifying what they are. Like, that's many of these cards, it actually says, like, can be either plant or animal derived. The only way to know is to call the company. So there were many of those where it was just like, I'd forgotten and was surprised to remember, like, oh, this isn't always plant-based, and you have to call the company to find out, like, what this ingredient even is and where it came from. And it just, I would love a little bit more transparency in our food labeling system.
Yeah, it's so easy to get caught out too, especially if you a brand, it tends to be vegan. For us, we actually had the example the other week of, we had a bottle of wine which was, the whole brand range was vegan, apart from if you went from a Sav to a Chardonnay, all of a sudden the Chardonnay's got milk in it, and it was like, why?
They were like, that's why we've been feeling really, really horrible.
Yeah, and even for us, it was just like, I'm gutted I didn't do it because I didn't check the labels properly, because I'm used to seeing that brand, that same thing every time, and sort of being like, I know this one's safe, but it always pays to check, doesn't it?
Oh, it's like we have herbs over here with milk in. I mean, herbs are herbs.
They do.
Who needs to put milk in herbs?
Tubes at the supermarket, which, to be honest, we wouldn't touch with a barge for anyway. But
get some casein in your cilantro, like
that's so weird. Nuts are like a big one that a lot of people don't think about. Roasted, nuts. A lot of the, like, I think Planters, some of the biggest brands, coat their, like, peanuts in gelatin. Like,
oh yeah,
ew.
Roasted nuts. Why?
The mind boggles.
Oh my god. Ew, that's so gross. Oh.
It just goes to show why these cards are so important, isn't it? Because like you think you think you've got this veganism thing sussed, you think you don't need to spend your life going around looking at labels anymore, but like there will be, something every so often to catch you out. And I have to say, for the grand total of $4.99 or 2 cups of coffee, you can get your hands on these vegan ingredient flashcards via the link provided. And they're fantastic. It's such a great price for such a comprehensive. Sarina's got them right there.
There we go.
They look really cool, and it's such a great price for such a comprehensive and fun and informative tool. Anybody can use it. I mean, you don't even have to be vegan. It's wonderful if you are, but I mean, for people, I mean, we know people that literally can't have dairy, for example, because they're severely allergic to it. I mean, I can think of friends and people in food industries, etc., that would really benefit from these cards as well. But certainly vegans, and it doesn't matter whether you're a new vegan, whether you're a long-term vegan, it's a really, really good resource. It's a lifelong resource, isn't it, for a very small investment. And then you can always be safe and always make those right choices. So I know we're always going to sort of get people, well, where's my money going kind of thing, and do the funds that you generate from this, which are well worth every cent of $4.99. Are the funds generated from this going towards helping your activism? Because I know you provide so much amazing free stuff already on your Born Vegan website.
Yeah, absolutely. I am a full-time activist. But there are, costs associated with running a website, video editing, printing materials, all of what I'm sure you are aware of. So yes, that is what this goes towards.
Awesome. Well, I've put the link in the description, in the comments again for anybody who does want to go over there and check out the cards. And yeah, it's just a great resource. And I know someone in the comments before was saying it'd be a fantastic thing for teachers to have in the classroom. Just every bit of help that we can give to folks. And with this, despite with the name being vegan ingredient cards, as we said previously in this discussion, I think everyone can benefit from this. I know we have people commenting here and stuff like that about not being vegan, and that's okay. This is a great way for you to learn more about what's actually going into your food and whether you want to consume that. And it's something that I really loved when we first talked to you during our activist series was about your story and being given those tools to critically think for yourself. And for me, I just think it's a great way to open people up to education, is just give them that full base and then step forward rather than 2 + 2 is 4, just telling them 4, telling them how to do the equation, as simple as that one is. Probably very bad metaphor for it. It's fantastic what you've created with this.
Well, and what I would add in too is they're not explicitly, not every one of the note cards is explicitly about, whether or not it's vegan. Some of them also are, a little bit more sustainability focused. Some of them, there's a couple that are also, more health focused, like red dye 40, things like that. Because the point is, while obviously I'm vegan and the main motive behind this is to educate people and empower them to make informed choices ethically, I am very holistic in what I do. And I also think that the whole point is being informed, being able to think critically and decide for yourselves what you want to be purchasing, supporting, consuming. So there are some that are not explicitly does this come from an animal or not? There's some that are also more about how they're produced and sustainability and health. So you can, again, I think like what you're saying, they work for everyone. And the idea really is just become informed. If you care about living ethically and sustainably, it starts with knowing what you're purchasing, knowing what you're consuming, what you're participating in, so that you can make better choices.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for providing that. And once again, there is links in the comments there for folks if you want to go check out the cards. And also head over to bornvegan.org because you can find out more about Sarina's other work. And speaking of, while we're here, we have to give a shout out to your excellent podcast, Science is Grey. This has had some great guests, including another favorite activist of ours, Seb Alex, and covering a range of in-depth topics, including the ethics and sustainability of cell-based meats. I must admit, when I was writing the questions for this, I was like, do we go down this rabbit hole? You know, do we go down?
We could talk about this. We could talk about that.
But you've got a great podcast on there speaking about it, and I think it's one of those topics once again in veganism that a lot of us, we might have formed an opinion, but a lot of us don't necessarily have a lot of information on ourselves. So it's a great one to learn more. But you've just finished season 1, so do you have any plans for season 2 at this stage?
Not quite yet. I would love to, but I feel like I have to. I have a very hard time staying consistent on putting content out regularly. So for the podcast, I feel like before I relaunch the second season, I have to actually do a bunch of the interviews and prep ahead of time so that I have it all ready to go and don't have to say like, who am I interviewing? What am I doing this week? Because that's a struggle for me. And I'm just not quite to that point yet. But I definitely, I have more ideas. I have more things I want to go into for sure. So yeah, stay tuned and check out the current episodes. They're very interesting. If I say so myself.
They really are, and very diverse, and I'm so grateful for it. I would love to just go back, seeing as we now have the real Sarina and not the robot version. Do you want to go back to the start and the first question, because Sarina gave such a great answer that I would have hated people to miss out. I hope you don't mind us asking you to repeat yourself, Sarina. But
well, now that the Terminator has been deceased, so we can go back. Yeah, so. For also anyone who has joined in late, when we started this off, we were just talking about how so much has happened since we last caught out for our Activist series, our flagship series, which you can check out on our YouTube. Sarina is on season 1, episode 5, so go check that out. That's a fantastic episode. But we're talking about, with this whole discussion revolving around food and identification of food products. We think it's really prudent to say that veganism is not a diet. Plant-based diet, that's part of veganism. If you live in the ethical vegan lifestyle, you can be eating a plant-based diet in some shape or form if you're aligning with those morals and ethics. So one is not the same, plant-based and vegan. So we were talking about that, and we wanted to get your feelings on how there's so many large companies, corporations. I'm sure all of us would have seen people like KFC, Burger King, Kit Kat, or Nestle, shall we say, doing the vegan Kit Kat. They're all jumping on these things and putting out these plant-based products with the label vegan on it. And, how we sort of feel about them using that and perpetuating that whole idea that veganism is a diet when, once again, I think we all know that, it's a philosophical belief, it's not what we eat, it's how we act.
Yeah. So like I said before, I have a lot of mixed feelings. That there's a lot, I could go into so much more on that topic, but on the one hand, I think having all of these new products and companies and, items popping up, it is a sign that interest in vegan living is growing. And I also think it, in one way, is beneficial because having more products that are more readily available, more places, makes, eating a vegan diet and living vegan more accessible and easier for more people. But I think it's important to remember, because it is growing so much and we have a very, market-based system that loves to jump on trends for profit, that just because something says vegan doesn't mean that that's an ethical company. It doesn't mean it's a fully vegan company. It doesn't mean that that company cares about animal rights or sustainability or health or any of the many other things that, many vegans care about. And so I think it's just, more of a sign that we need to be doing our research and thinking critically and making those informed choices so that, we feel good about the choices we're making about, ethics and sustainability, food and other things. So yeah, like it's ups and downs. And I think we do need to be aware that many, many people and companies are jumping on that trend solely for profit. And and that many of the other things they are doing in their existence and in their practices and in how they produce food and in the things that they, the way they operate, their ethics and, practices are not in line with, ethical veganism, even though they may be producing one new, chocolate bar that doesn't have any animal ingredients in it.
Yeah, so true. I think even once again, this is another thing that goes, past veganism and in any aspect, whatever your philosophical beliefs are. If you want to align yourself with them, you need to be looking at everything that's going into your household, into yourself. And like the vegan Kit Kat was a big example, because it even came all the way out here to New Zealand, which usually we don't get a lot of that stuff. We don't get anywhere near what other countries get. But that got out here, and Nestle was one of the companies who refused to stop selling in Russia and stuff like that during everything that's going on with Ukraine and stuff like that. And so I know a lot of people have a very strong moral standpoint on what's going on over there. Yet, then they're still buying the vegan Kit Kat, and it's like, like even if you weren't vegan, there's so many other issues there, so many other human rights issues, so many things going on. And it's so good to be aware of it. And for us in our everyday weekly shopping, we've gone over the top now. We're trying to make sure that we're sourcing everything, and we feel great for it. Like some things cost more, and we are privileged to be able to do that where we live. But we've also spent the time, we spend extra time going to the market on a Saturday to support local and small producers, rather than going to a supermarket, which we soon realize that the produce there is crap anyway. Forgive my language. Like the stuff out there is just like horrible. We don't even have Monsanto out here either. So that's another.
Wow. Okay.
I'm bringing up all the little ones, aren't I, today? But, we don't have those sort of sprayers, but it's just, there's so much good you can have, so much joy in your life, and just choosing ethically and morally in these decisions, and take that time to know. But I've probably opened a dozen cans of worms there.
If I can say something, I think I'll be okay here, but because I don't like spending too much time focusing on debates, like eating the Impossible Burger, Whopper, whatever. I think that's sometimes besides the point. But I will give my take on it here, because I think it's relevant, which is, I'm glad things like that exist. And for people that are already eating and supporting Burger King or eating at fast food chains, of course, it's going to be better to, eliminate one level of exploitation and eat a plant-based fast food burger rather than a meat-based one. 100%. And I'm glad that exists. But for those of us who are trying to expand beyond just diet, or just, just the, which it is somewhat narrow, just animal or plants, question, is Burger King a company that if you have a choice, you really want to be supporting, even if they happen to have a plant-based option? That's kind of the way I put it. So it's like, I'm not going to be like, this is vegan or this is not. Like, I try to avoid that, criticizing other people in that way on this topic. But that's the way I approach it, is like, I can be glad it exists, and I can still criticize the company and think that their ethics aren't in line with how I want to live my life.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think it goes back to the whole thing. Once again, give them the full information, and then people can choose to act on it how they wish, and it's a great way to be. And I personally am the same, I'm glad that other folks have that. It doesn't align with my philosophy of ethical veganism, but for others, like my mates who I'm still trying to drag out the dark ages and into the lovely light of the plant world, I'm glad that there are those options for them. So, this has just been a lot of fun, and I'm sure, there is a lot more. I'm just digging everything up, and I was just wondering before as well. I said they're opening a can of worms, and I really need to work on my.
It doesn't sound very vegan, Gareth.
I know. I need to find. I'm terrible. I'm always speaking in these sort of what do you call them? The
it's
metaphors.
a Welsh thing, I think.
It might be a Welsh thing. I don't know. Well, that might be.
We have them here too.
Yeah.
Like, I've got one replacement: feed 2 birds with 1 scone. instead of
We
like
were
kill
just
two
using that
birds.
this morning.
Yeah, some of them are easy. The can of worms thing is not so, maybe turning over the compost heap and I don't know, or open up the worm farm. Actually, open up the worm farm, because every time we do it downstairs, the little crawlers, they all come out. So yeah, remember to feed the worms. But is there any other projects and stuff that you would like to bring up whilst we've got you here? Because we know that you're always working on great things, and the flashcards are just one amazing project that you have. So is there anything else you'd like to share with our audience whilst we've got you here?
I am working on an exciting project related to sustainability and climate change, but I can't say a whole lot more than that yet. But if anyone is familiar with the 2020 Climate Diet Summit, the virtual summit I put on online, it's related to some of that. So stay tuned, and hopefully that will be coming out in the next couple months.
Awesome.
Oh, really excited to hear that. That was where we very first heard about Sarina, when Gareth and I attended the 2020 virtual Climate Diet Summit and saw her work, and it really influenced us a lot at Vegan FTA as well, didn't it? Because it made us realize that, we can't go anywhere right now, but we can still reach a lot of people, and we can get a lot of great activism done. So thank you for the part that you played, even if you didn't know it at the time.
Of course. Happy to have inspired you.
I look forward to that very much.
Yeah. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and joining us today. I apologize for technical difficulties at the start. They're bound to creep up. But unfortunately, you can't turn it off and turn it on again in this sort of situation.
No,
but
thank you, everyone, who stuck around and, waited while we worked it out. We got there in the end.
Yeah, but it's been so lovely to have you on, and it's so lovely to catch up, because it's not often that we get the chance to catch up with our previous guests from the series, because we're the same with our schedule. It is mental. If anyone could see our calendar, that's just off that way, they would see what mad people we are, and the unhuman hours we put into this. But it's been so lovely to have you on.
Well, thank you. And I love your work, so keep it up.
Thank you so much. We will be following you too, and definitely check out Sarina's website, bornvegan.org. She's on all the usual platforms, Instagram. You can even see her dancing. And I love your social media posts, and also definitely check out the podcast. Science is great. It is a fantastic in-depth lesson, and you will learn a lot, guaranteed. And don't forget to check out the flashcards as well, because they really are a fantastic resource. And thank you, everyone, for joining us.
Yeah, the link is in the comments, folks, to the link page, so you can find all of Sarina's work. There's also links there to the vegan flashcards. If you've enjoyed this, then please give a like, share it if you folks would like. We may put out an edited version just to take off the first robot minutes in the near future. But thank you so much, and be sure to support us over on Facebook, YouTube, and all of our social media sites, and check out Born Vegan. So thank you, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.